from Jerusalem, the news with Martin Lewis.
The dissident rabbi Jesus is dead. He was put to death this afternoon after the failure of a last-minute offer of reprieve. We'll be going over live to our special team at the execution site. An eerie darkness fell over the scene as the rabbi died. But with the murder of Barabbas walking free, we ask, was the wrong man killed? Bethany is deserted as the Jesus movement begins to fall apart. A key member denies his links to the condemned man. Did Jesus of Nazareth really break the law, or was his crime that he was simply too popular?
And the view from Rome. No blood on our hands in a strictly internal Jewish affair.
Good evening. In a dramatic move which has shocked some senior members of the Jewish community, the maverick Galilean rabbi Jesus was executed today at the height of the holy festival of Passover. He was put to death in spite of a dramatic last-minute offer of mercy by Governor Pilate. Our reporters have been piecing together the day's events.
Today there's little evidence of the drama that unfolded late last night here at Gethsemane, the garden named after the press which from these olive trees produces some of Jerusalem's finest oil, and where the Jesus movement was holding a final rally. What was scheduled as a peaceful prayer vigil before the group left for Galilee was stormed by a mixed force of Jewish militiamen and Roman troops. No one was seriously injured except for one soldier who made a speedy recovery.
The Nazareth group's leader was the only one to be arrested. Another man, known as Simon Peter, was briefly detained here on suspicion of being a member of the Jesus movement, but when directly accused of being one of the dissidents, he 3 times denied any involvement and was subsequently released. A little while later, Jesus was taken from this compound for his confrontation with the chief priest Caiaphas.
The rabbi's alleged prophecy to his followers that the temple would be destroyed was alarming the Jewish leadership as much as the Roman authorities, who have kept his movements under continuous surveillance.
But it was a second charge that caused scenes of open fury at the hearing. The chief priest asked the rabbi the direct question, "Are you the Son of God?" And the rabbi did not deny the claim, so laying himself open to the charge of blasphemy.
David Jessel reporting there from the home of the chief priest. After his arrest in Gethsemane, Jesus of Nazareth was taken from the chief priest's house and kept in protective custody. Linda Bryans takes up the story.
Apart from the odd arrest of Passover pilgrims who had been celebrating a little too early and a little too much, the police had been reporting a relatively trouble-free period. But the arrest of the Rabbi Jesus put an end to all that. The chief priest Caiaphas clearly wanted to end the crisis informally by persuading Jesus to leave. It became obvious that this tactic had failed when news crews picked up shots of preparations being made to move Jesus in the early hours of the morning to face a formal indictment before the Jewish ruling council, the Sanhedrin. Some say that it was the first stage of a formal indictment, but night trials on death penalty charges are illegal under Jewish law. Others maintain it was a last-minute attempt to defuse the crisis informally. Holding trials at the holy time of Passover is almost unheard of, a sign of just how seriously the Jewish authorities are taking the Jesus problem. But as the dawn broke here at the Sanhedrin, they seemed deadlocked over whether to try the accused on a religious indictment or simply hand Jesus over to the Roman governor to be dealt with on public order offences. Linda Bryans in Jerusalem.
By early morning, the focus had switched to the Citadel, headquarters of Rome's man in Palestine, Pontius Pilate. Decisive action and a surprise amnesty offer by the governor seemed to have broken the deadlock. But the day didn't go according to plan, as Richard Lindsay reports.
While the Jewish authorities were dithering about how exactly to deal with this popular but dangerous man, Governor Pilate's patience was running out. He sent word for Jesus of Nazareth to be brought under armed escort to Roman headquarters in Jerusalem. Sources close to Pilate insist he had no desire to get involved in an internal Jewish religious matter. However, it's being stressed that there was a direct request from the Jewish establishment that he should deal with the Jesus problem. It said that Governor Pilate challenged the prisoner over his claim to be King of the Jews. Apparently, Jesus avoided directly incriminating himself. Then, in an astonishing turn of events, Pilate declared that while the truth was becoming ever more difficult to establish, under Roman law, Jesus had not committed any crime. This is Richard Lindley at Pilate's headquarters, Jerusalem.
You're watching Dateline Jerusalem on the day the authorities crushed the threat from the dissident movement by executing its leader. Coming up later in the programme, cruel and unusual punishment, renewed debate over a death penalty inflicted by torture, and the bizarre lottery which meant life or death for two people with the same name. In a surprise move, Governor Pilate announced a Passover amnesty today. By tradition, the Roman governor can spare the life of one prisoner. But Pilate broke with convention by offering the Jewish people a choice. Here's Michael Greenspan.
Pilate made his dramatic amnesty offer during the mid-morning news. Roman sources say the offer reflects his own deep unease about executing Jesus of Nazareth for a crime which, as far as he can see, has not even been committed. In his own words, he found no fault in the man. Governor Pilate gave the public a choice between the Nazareth rabbi and a notorious Jewish bandit and assassin called Barabbas. The choice was a stark one. Barabbas is a known paramilitary terrorist who has committed murder in Jerusalem. Jesus, although he has proved a threat to authority both in Roman and Jewish terms, teaches a message of non-violence. Both, however, could be seen as claimants to the Jewish leadership, both for very